After some disappointing results with the titanium burner, and also some fairly disappointing results with using a Trangia without the Trangia system enclosure, and finding it was pretty inefficient, I have something else to try. Making use of all the other YouTube videos around, I found that the titanium burner's weakness is apparently that it doesn't have a wick arrangement between the walls of the burner, unlike Trangia, which explains why it takes so long to prime. This device also doesn't have a wick, but what it does have are copper tubes in case of a double-walled arrangement, and you could reasonably hope that that design means that there's less volume of vaporized fuel needed before it starts to burn properly, that it's quicker to heat up the tubes and the fuel in them from burning the fuel to start off with to get it primed, and there's at least no good reason to think it's any less efficient, maybe it's more efficient, maybe it isn't, than the Trangia burner. So let's see if it works. Here we go. Now, let's see how we're going with time. Quite got going. Here we go. That's about, what was that? Not as long as, that looks like a pretty reasonable flame at this point. Maybe not completely lit all the way around, but it's certainly burning out of at least some of those jets around the edges. I mean, that's a whole minute in at this point, but it certainly started to burn out of them in, I mean, it seems to have been claimed for sort of 10 seconds or so, but I would have said it was more like 20. Anyway, let's put something around the outside to shield it a bit. So, certainly quite a substantial flame. You'd think it would have some heat in it. So, okay, I'll time it from when I've actually put the water on and see how we go. Well, fascinating to watch as this is. We're coming up for 2 minutes in from when I started this. Obviously it hasn't boiled yet. The flame's still going strong. It does look like there's a fair bit of heat there, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long. Now we're at the coming up for the 5-minute mark. Plus, I left it for a minute, but it probably only needed leaving for 30 seconds of time to get burning properly. It's at least still burning strong, and it's not boiling, but there's a fair bit of steam coming off here. Sounding a lot like something that's about to boil. Sounds like that might be a boil at about the 6-minute mark. No, still not quite there. It's a lot of steam. Surely that's a boil. It is a boil. So a little under 7 minutes plus however long you reckon it took to bloom. Let's say another 30 seconds or so. And that's half a litre of water in that pot. So a couple of cups. You can see it has progressed a bit in terms of the burn from how it started. So yeah, maybe I was a bit eager to start it. There were so many claims that it started in a few seconds that I kind of believed it, but that's definitely a much better burn now than when I put the pot on to start off with. So yeah, what matters is how long from when you start to when you get a boil. But certainly once it's going, it progresses to producing a lot of heat. That's a hot flame. And it does seem to be pretty efficient. I didn't actually measure the amount of fuel I put in there, but there's certainly a lot of fuel left, and a lot of energy being produced from it. Putting that back on produces a pretty instantaneous reboil. So definitely a solid effort in terms of energy output. And the good thing about that is that within reason, hopefully more energy output is more efficiency. Now this did come with a simmering. It's a bit of a challenge with this the stand to actually use it as a simmering. I also wanted to see how well it worked as a snubber to put this thing out. I probably hadn't anticipated quite how warm it got. I was hoping that that this having a handle on it would make it easier to drop over, but so far all I've managed to do is to prove it doesn't and make this too hot to hold. Let me try again. And I've also managed to prove that yes, even though it doesn't seal perfectly, you can kind of throw it over there on top of the stand and have it put the flame out. So that is definitely doing better than the cross type stand on the titanium burner that basically made it impossible to extinguish the flame with anything I had to hand, at least, without a fair bit of effort. Oh, and did I say extinguished? I lied. Okay, well, what else can I try here? It is efficient. It burns even when apparently well covered. Almost, maybe. No. Yes. Sort of. As you can see, there's a fair bit of fuel left in there. As you'll also see, this stand is actually, this thing seems pretty well made and pretty accurately made. The stand sits on top of here, but it has small lugs that extend down the sides to, particularly once it expands a bit when it's heated up, make it almost impossible to remove the stand. Interesting. I'm sure I could if I tried a bit harder, but yes, the stand's well attached, stable. This pot that I'm using sits on it pretty well. I could put a bigger pot on, I think it would work pretty well too. The distance from the burner to the pot seems to have been well considered. There's also no bits of metal sitting in the flame and possibly interfering with the flame efficiency. So I think this setup with this burner, this stand, and using a lightweight shield is about as close to the sort of Trangia stand efficiency as I'll get with something compact. But this burner is exactly the same size as the Trangia burner and is claimed to be more efficient in terms of heat output, burn time, everything else. So I can always use the Trangia kit if I want to. And when I say this burner, I don't think I actually introduced it. It's the Goshawk steampunk burner. I think it has some model number as well, but this somewhat, I'm not so sure about the steam. There's definitely metho, and there's definitely gears. Reminds me a bit of cycling componentry, if anything. But yeah, this stand, whilst these sort of gear teeth on it are a bit of a styling item. There we go, got it off. The actual overall concept of the way it's made out of a flat sheet, and then these well designed to fit over this unit, and also well designed in terms of height for the pot. Stand seems to be pretty good. When you tip it upside down, it sits neatly on top, and overall you end up with a reasonably compact, if I did it the right way around, it'd be a lot easier. You end up with a reasonably compact unit that you can transport like that. Of course, my attempts to assemble a set of compatible gear, if I take this complete with its O-ring, which is good, so that it does seem to actually be fuel proof. You do seem to be able to use it to carry fuel, and put it, let's empty out this water. Okay, so the windshield, 2 cups, the burner, the essential filter for making cups of coffee, can't survive without coffee, the bare minimum of cutlery fits in here, head on, that's it. So overall, we've got a really compact setup. Got a bit more cutlery. We can chuck in these guys. This thing is exactly too big to fit inside, but is basically the same diameter as the pot, so it just makes things a bit longer and spikier. Doesn't seem to weigh much, so whatever. It almost works. That's an almost designed to fit together arrangement. These Goshawk people seem to have a bit of an R&D program going on with their burners. They've got quite a range of products, including some wood gasification burners and all sorts of fun things. They've got a sale on this particular burner and stand combination at present that made it pretty attractive. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a Australian product, I think. Look, I don't know. I should probably ask these guys rather than defame them or something, but I'm gathering that means Australian designed and delivered. I'm not going to guess where in the world most of the manufacturing happens. I get the impression they may do some final assembly or Q&A or precision burner alignment post whatever that manufacturing is. But one way or another, who cares where exactly it's being produced, but it seems to work. I'm looking forward to seeing what other gadgets they come up with. I resisted the urge to throw all this other stuff I already had in the bin and pick one of their complete systems, but it looks like they have plans to produce a very efficient and compact system. I'll give it a go when it comes out. There's a suggestion on the manufacturer's website that it's possible to use this ring, the Simmering, to allow something other than just boiling water, which by itself, even relatively open, does substantially reduce the intensity of the burn. The question of whether it can be used with this stand comes up. It seems it can be, but it's very much a case of taking care to put the stand over the Simmering. He says confidently, having done it before and then trying to do it while holding the phone. I really should get a tripod or something, and failing spectacularly. Well done me. What on earth? I'm getting the distinct impression that a bit of usage and heat does distort this and expand things sufficiently that some of this precision manufacturing turns out to be a bit too precise. So, with some careful assembly, best done when things aren't hot, you can get this over with this Simmering underneath, and you can indeed move it around, and if you rotate the whole thing, you've got a fair range of adjustment there, but it is awkward to put together in the first place, and I'm actually interested to see what happens when this heats up. So here we go with a Simmering setup, which is certainly working from a simmer rather than a boil perspective. Now, it's not exactly what I'd call a stable base with the pot, and I've got the other pots in there, but I've got water in there. Yeah, I'm not convinced that you can actually use the Simmering with that stand, despite claims to the contrary. So, not a huge loss, I guess. I think I'll be saving a few grams by not taking the Simmering with me when I'm using this in its compact and lightweight mode. Obviously the Simmering is fine if you're using it without that stand and with the rest of the Trangia kit. I didn't mention before, but the Trangia burner, as well as being the same size, the Trangia burner and this Goshawk burner are the same weight to within single digit grams, complete with the cap and the simmering. So there's no weight saving by using this in a kit rather than the Trangia burner. Would I buy a Trangia burner or this? Well, I've bought both. I do get the impression, I'll do some more experiments without boring anyone watching with it, but I do get the distinct impression that the Goshawk burner is actually more efficient than the Trangia one. So I'll stick with it as my lightweight camping gear. Lightweight because of the rest of the equipment that I'll be carrying around with me, not lightweight because of the burner. I'm particularly encouraged to see that it does seem to actually be the methylated spirits proof when closed up. So, and given its efficiency for an overnighter or something, it's particularly compact, don't need to carry any other fuel. So we'll see how it goes. Just a moment.